Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here. We are live. I want to thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, as I always beg you guys, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. And yes, Saul, I'm early, right? It's early, but I'm here. Oh, I thought you were saying that I'm early. Yeah, I'm early. I started the show 2 minutes earlier than I would have, which is, progress for me because normally I start the show off pretty late when I do go live. But yeah, you're here early too, and I'm glad you're here. And I see everybody else piling on in the stream. So let's get this going, man. Because this story concerning all the frauding that's going on in Ilhan Omar's community concerning Somalis in the Feeding Our Future scam. This story isn't going away. It's not going away at all. If anything, it's getting bigger and it's growing worse as more and more information comes out. And, earlier today, Ilhan Omar was on CNN. And when she was asked about, the Feeding Our Future scam, she fumbled badly. She fumbled badly. She was humming and hawing, hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. It was just bad, man. Oh, it was bad. And we're going to get into that right now. But let's start here. I want to do a little bit of review because, like I said in the last live stream, when we spoke on Ilhan Omar and all of this madness that's going on, like I said, where there's smoke, there's an inferno. Remember, I kept saying that concerning Ilhan Omar, where there's smoke, there's an inferno. And in the thumbnail, I asked the question, how much did Ilhan Omar really know? Because there's just so much information out here, man, that just shows that, in my opinion, I believe, I assume she's guilty. It's just my opinion. It's not a statement of fact, YouTube. It's just my opinion. But it just looks horrible for her. You all remember, and I covered this in the last stream. We're not going to read the article, but I'll just go through the headline really quick. Two men named in Feeding Our Future fraud investigation donated to Ilhan Omar in 2021. The congresswoman says she recently sent the contribution to food shelves. So she tried to wash her hands of those campaign funds that she had received from Feeding Our Future scammers, right? She tried to wash her hands of it by donating it to, I guess, a greater cause, which is some food shelves, I guess, in her district, right? But that doesn't wash your hands clean of it, right? If anything, that sounds like, kind of a form of money laundering, doesn't it? You receive dirty money and then you wash it through then you wash it by putting it through something legit. That's what this looks like to me, quite honestly, if you ask me, but it doesn't stop here. It doesn't stop here. Many of you all remember this too. I covered this also. Boom. Former enforcer for Ilhan Omar pleads guilty in Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. Once again, where there's smoke, there's an inferno. You're receiving campaign donations from these guys. One of your quote enforcers went down, found guilty. The gentleman that you see here on the screen right there, that's who you're connected to. And most importantly, I have to establish this before I play this clip. Ilhan Omar was a promoter of the Safari restaurant, right? Out there in Minnesota. And what's the significance of that? You see here, this is the Safari Somali restaurant out there. It's closed down now because the owners are in jail. But let me just read this to you guys for a moment before I show you guys the video proof, right? That Ilhan Omar was actively promoting this restaurant in the midst of all of this frauding and scamming going on. Safari restaurant. Its owners included Salim Saeed and Abdul Qadir Nur Salah, was enrolled as a food site, right? It was enrolled as a food site under the Feeding Our Future nonprofit in 2020. The restaurant claimed to serve thousands of meals per day during the C-19 pandemic. For example, Saeed testified the site served 5,000 meals a day. Prosecutors say those meal counts were massively inflated or entirely fictitious. Safari purportedly claimed to have served over 3.9 million meals between April 2020 and November of 2021, many of which were never actually delivered. Beyond just misreporting, Safari Restaurant also acted as a hub. Other restaurant sites in the scheme reportedly submitted paperwork or meal claims through Safari's business headquarters with instructions from Saeed and others. And that's why this place is so critical, which is now closed down, the Safari Somali cuisine restaurant. This place essentially was the hub of the entire Feeding Our Future scam. Okay. This was the root, it was the foundation from which all the other scams essentially began to sprout out of. And this is also a place that Ilhan Omar actively promoted. And with that, let's get into this video clip now. Allow me a moment to pull this up. Watch this.
Anta safari aan soo gaarnay sida dadka badan ay u og yihiin ciyaalkeena yaryar ilaa iyo number la eg 20 milyan oo ciyaal iskooley ah waxay cuntadooda ka helaan iskoolka kaliya marka waxaan fursad u helnay in aan sharci soo gudbino oo la dhahayo Meals Act oo u fududeynayo in waqtigaanay pandemic aan ku jirno oo dhalinyarada iskoolka aynan joogin oo guryahooda ay joogaan aynan gaajoonin oo familkoodii wili ay fursad u helaan in cunto ay helaan oo meelo qaarkood laga qaybinayo ay cuntada ka soo.
Just 30 more seconds. This is 2 minutes long, but I'm gonna give you guys this nails on the chalkboard for at least a good 30 more seconds, okay? That's just how much I love you.
qaadan karaan marka aadan ugu mahadcelinayaa Safari in ay tahay meelaha city oo diyaarinayo cunto maalin kasto dhalinyarada ciyaalkii iyo familkoodina ku taakuleynaayo cuntada city maalintii kaliya Safari waxay ay cunto siisaa 2300 oo ciyaal ah iyo familkooda taas waa mid muhiim ah.
Okay. I think we can stop there. Okay. I think we can stop there. But I'm going to keep saying it, man. Where there's smoke, there's an inferno. You're receiving campaign dollars from these people. One of your, quote, enforcers that was very close to you on the campaign trail with you got found guilty, or he pled guilty, I should say. This Safari restaurant, once again, was the foundation of this entire, what has now grown to become $1 billion scam. And we have you here in 4K promoting it in 4K, like you're here, right? What did Cat Williams say in the clip that people like to play? Ninja, do you know that we can see you? We can see you. You're right here. Serving up, I don't know, fake meals going to nobody. Because that's what this stuff was all about as far as this scamming is concerned, man. And it doesn't end here. It doesn't end here, man, because like I was saying in the last live stream concerning this, I find it very interesting how all of the major figureheads in Minnesota's local body politics are tied to this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. At this point, either they're accused of, covering it up or receiving campaign funds and actively promoting this stuff while now pretending to act like they don't know what's going on and they don't know why this happened. So with that, let me play the CNN clip from Ilhan Omar when she was asked about this. She was asked by CNN and pressed on this scam, and she just started and the C19 and check this out for yourself. Look at this clip here.
The fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
I wasn't keeping count. How many times did she say, let's listen to that one more time because I wasn't keeping count. I wasn't keeping count. That was a lot of exactly. Let's hear that again.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, you know, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
A lot of you know, a whole lot of and a whole lot of corruption. Many of you guys remember when I covered this in the stream I did on this a couple of days ago, because I really want to paint this picture to show you guys how corrupt all these folks are, you know. 6 times. Thank you for keeping count. She said 6 times. But I really want to paint a picture, you know, of how corrupt all of these, you know, major political figureheads in Minnesota actually are. Because once again, it's not just Ilhan Omar. Remember this here. Let me pull this video down and pull this article up. I'm not going to read it because I went over this last week, but just as kind of to refresh some of you guys, if you may have forgot. Look at this. Remember, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey could be called to testify in upcoming Feeding Our Future trial. Now, that didn't happen, right? Because the aide of Mayor Frey pled guilty. Right? Look at this here. Former Minneapolis mayoral aide and Safari restaurant co-owner both pled guilty in $250 Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. He was possibly going to have to testify against his aide, but he didn't have to do it because his aide pled guilty. You have to ask yourself, how much did this guy know? And was he covering this stuff up? And as it pertains to Governor Tim Walz, Mr. Tampon Tim, now it looks like he's in a lot of hot water because investigations are beginning and coming underway for him on a federal level concerning his role in a possible cover-up. Many of you know, as I discussed in the last stream, how many government staffers came out and said they tried to warn Tim Walz, or not they tried to, they did. They warned him about what was happening and all the fraud and all the scamming. And he would respond back essentially by retaliating against them and telling them to essentially shut up. Remember this article here, Minnesota government workers blame Walz for massive fraud amid allegations against Somali community. More than 400 current staff members say governors More than 400 current staff members say governor systemically retaliated against whistleblowers. He didn't want to hear any of it. He didn't want to hear any of this. Okay? Not one people. But now it looks like we're going to find out how true this stuff actually is concerning him retaliating against whistleblowers and making life hard for them if they open their mouth to try to speak out against this. Because as you can see here, Oversight Chair James Comer fires off letter to Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison. And that guy, Keith Ellison, we're going to get into him after Tim Walz, about Minnesota fraud and potential evidence destruction. Tim Walz might be cooked. Because if they get a hold of the right emails and text messages that prove that this is true, that he systematically retaliated against whistleblowers, he's cooked. Okay? This man is cooked, stir fried. Let me read a little bit of this here. Allow me a moment to scroll down. This article reads very quickly. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer fired off letters Wednesday to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and his Attorney General Keith Ellison as part of an investigation first reported by the Post into widespread fraud in state social service program. The committee has serious concerns about how you, as the governor and the Democrat controlled administration, allowed millions of dollars to be stolen, Comer wrote to Walz on December 3rd. The committee also has concerns that you and your administration were fully aware of this fraud and chose not to act for fear of political retaliation, added the powerful Republican chairman. And he has a point when he says that possibly Tim Walz didn't respond out of fear. Because who do we know that clearly was retaliated against when he had the audacity to speak out against the Democrat Party concerning the migrant crisis? Our man, Eric Adams, former New York Mayor Eric Adams, when he had the audacity to step out of line and lay the proper blame of the migrant crisis at the feet of Biden and Harris, oh, he paid the price. They dragged him through the mud publicly, day after day after day. The feds were all in his business, cracking down on all his associates until eventually the indictment came down and he was hit with federal charges. Now, we all know that was, snapped away and into dust like Thanos once Trump got into office, because he knew what it was. He knew it was retaliation. He knew those charges were nonsense and bogus. Trump did the right thing and got those charges thrown out. But, once again, when you consider what we saw happen to Eric Adams and how viciously the DNC turned on him, yeah, I can definitely see Tim Walz not wanting to say anything out of sheer fear. And also possibly, he might have been getting cut in on something, a little something. And why do I say that? I want to show you guys why I say that. Let me show you guys why I say I think maybe Tim Walz might have been getting a little something on the side. In my opinion, I assume. And the reason that I say that is this. Let me show you this video clip here. This is extremely interesting. I'll just say that. This is extremely interesting. And of course, I don't have the video queued up. So while I'm queuing up the video, if you guys haven't already, please smash the like button. That's extremely important. Hit that like button. If you're watching me for the first time and you're enjoying the content and the information, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you're following me on Telegram. And also, while I'm pulling this video up, why is it not here? Ooh, that just made me so mad. Matter of fact, I know what to do. Give me just a moment. I should have the Twitter still open. Yeah. Can I just download it straight? Of course not. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to pull this down very quickly. Boom. And we're going to watch it through Twitter. I typically don't like watching videos straight through Twitter. I like to have it pre-uploaded already because the quality of sound is better, but that's okay. So give me just one more second or 2 or 3 or 4 while I pull this video clip up. All right, here it goes. Look at this. Look at this. Never forget that Tim Walz changed the Minnesota flag to resemble the flag of Somalia. Did you guys know this? I didn't know this. Look at this here.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute. There, that's better. All right, ready.
So when I saw that for the first time, I didn't know what to think of it. And, I read the post and I'm like, okay, he changed it to make it look like Minnesota's flag. And then when you just look into it a little bit more, It's just very shocking and bizarre that he would do this. Look at this. Let me pull this down now. Again, let me pull this down. Okay. And go back into those screens via the windows right here. Let me show you guys this, because this is just extremely bizarre. And why I believe that he might possibly have been getting cut in a little bit, something of that money, right? So look at this. So this is the original flag, as you can see here, right? And throughout the course of the centuries at this point, because the original flag, came into existence in 1893, they've always made mild modifications, as you can see here, right on the right side. You scroll down a little bit, from 1893 to 1857. This is how the flag looked, right? Or 1957, I should say. And then 1957 to 1983, the flag looked like this, mild changes, just slightly updating it, And then in 1983, the flag of Minnesota looked like this. Once again, just mild modifications, nothing too crazy. Okay. Well, now the flag looks like this. If you didn't know any better, you would have thought that this was just a flag of a foreign country, because a lot of them look like this. But what's even stranger is that it's not that it just looks like this. It's almost identical to the Somali flag. That is crazy. That is insane. Tim Walz changed Minnesota's state flag from this. Essentially, that's how it looked for 100+ years, to this, just so that it could look borderline identical to this, the flag of Somalia. That is wild. That's wild stuff, man. That is wild stuff. So yeah, man, I don't know. I think they might have been cutting him in a little something. It might not have just been fear of retaliation from the DNC. I don't know, man. He might have been getting some under the table money. He just might have been getting some under the table money. But there is somebody who wasn't getting under the table money. He was getting upfront money. Okay. And that's Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellis. And we're going to get into that next in closing. But what I was going to say that I forgot to say is that if you're not a channel member already, please consider becoming a channel member. If you appreciate the channel, you appreciate the work that I do here, the information, and how it can be somewhat entertaining, please become a channel member. Once this stream is over, we're immediately headed into a members live only stream immediately after this public stream is over. So join me over there at the end of this stream. But now let's get into Attorney General Keith Ellis, right? And why do I want to talk about him? This is why. Boom. Minnesota AG Keith Ellison accepted campaign donations from individuals linked to $250 million C-19 fraud scheme. All of these people are corrupt. Every single one of them. Dirty, rotten, and corrupt. All up and down Minnesota. This is crazy. Ilhan Omar, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, Minnesota, I'm going to say Minnesota Timberwolves, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and now Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison. You can't make this stuff up, man. Somebody's got to go down. That would just be insane. That in the midst of all of this that we're looking at, like, nobody gets held accountable. Nobody. So let's check this out. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison raked in $10,000 in campaign donations shortly after meeting with individuals linked to a nonprofit that stole $250 million from a federal program meant to feed hungry children during the pandemic. And I quote, I'm not here because I think it's going to help my reelection, Ellison said during the December 11th, 2021 meeting with two future criminal defendants linked to the Feeding Our Future scandal, according to audio obtained by the Center of the American Experiment. Days later, on December 20th of 2021, Ellison received $10,000 in campaign contributions from individuals linked to linked to Minneapolis nonprofit Feeding Our Future. The records show all of these people are corrupt. If you believe that they're as corrupt as I do, hit the like button. Okay, smash the like button. Now, he too recently did an interview where he was asked, would you do anything different? Mind you, he's the attorney general. And now they're asking him to do a little Monday morning quarterbacking. In hindsight, looking back at all this, with the information you know now and what you knew at the time, would you do anything different? Let's hear what he had to say. Let's hear what he had to say. Check this video clip out next as we're bringing this stream to an end.
Ask you about the fraud scandal. I mean, because the president's comments seem at least in part fueled by, or he's talking about this fraud scandal that we mentioned earlier involving that charity called Feeding Our Future. The vast majority of these 70 defendants charged in the case were Somali. For perspective, those are nearly 80,000 Somalis in the state. How much, critics have said that state officials, including you and the governor, did not act fast enough or quickly enough to investigate charges of fraud against the Feeding Our Future and did little to flag their allegations to federal authorities. I know you said it was the federal government that didn't move fast enough. Is there something you wish you had done differently?
No, we, first of all, the Department of Education denied claims when questionable claims were made about these meals. My office went to court, explained that to the court. A judge actually found the department in contempt for denying claims. And we cooperated fully and worked well with the FBI. We're glad that we took the action that we did.
This guy said no. This is very reminiscent of when Kamala Harris was asked on The View when she was running for president. What would you do differently from Joe Biden? Would you do anything different? No, I wouldn't do anything different. That wrong answer. Okay. Attorney General Keith Ellison, would you do anything different? No. And as a matter of fact, Anderson Cooper said he pawned it off on the federal government. He said the federal government didn't move fast enough. It's your state. They're running a scam through your state. And you're telling me you wouldn't do anything different? But then again, he got his money, right? He got his money, so he's good. He's good. He wasn't worried about it. I think maybe that's quite possibly the reason he was so slow-footed to do anything. And I mean, you don't hear anything about him, giving that campaign money to donations, donating that campaign. You don't hear anything about him donating those campaign funds that he received from those scammers to another nonprofit like Ilhan did. At least Ilhan Omar tried to clean it up a little bit when she received donations to her campaign from Feeding Our Future scammers. She, at least when she found out, she was like, hey, things are getting kind of hot. Let me just pass this money along to something that's a little bit more legit. This guy just held on to it. He just put it in his pocket and said, hey, I didn't know. I didn't know, man. I didn't know. But he's a known liar. He's a known liar. Because I want to play this one last clip of him in closing. This guy is a big time liar. You all remember when Trump designated Antifa, right? When Trump designated Antifa as a terrorist organization, right? And then all of a sudden you had all of these DNC lunatics running around pretending like they don't know what Antifa is, pretending like they never heard of Antifa, pretending like it's an organization that's just doesn't actually exist. It's just some kind of mythological thing that you only hear about online. Remember, that's what they all did? Well, he got caught up in that lie. I want you to look at this clip here when he was on MSDNC, now known as BS Now, and he was asked about Antifa, you know, and Trump designating them as a terrorist organization. He's going to pretend like he doesn't know anything about Antifa, and Antifa isn't real. You know, Antifa is make-believe, right? That's what he's going to do. But then next to that video clip, you're going to literally see a Twitter post of him, I believe it was back in 2018, holding up an Antifa book, the Antifa like handbook. So check this out here. Look at this. This guy's a liar. They're all liars.
The fact that there is no, I mean, nobody even knows what it is. The first person I ever heard use the word Antifa was Donald J. Trump when he was going on about how there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. That's the first time I ever heard anyone use the term. So now it's this amorphous thing. And if nobody's really Antifa, then everybody could be. And the reason you can't find them is because they're just that crafty.
You're literally holding up the Antifa anti-fascist handbook. You were holding it up in 2018. And now you're sitting up here in 2025 lying like you never heard of them and you don't know who they are.
So the fact that there is no, I mean, nobody even knows what it is. The first person I ever heard use the word Antifa was Donald J. Trump when he was going on about how there were good people on both sides in Charlottesville. That's the first time I ever heard anyone use the term. So now it's this amorphous thing. And if nobody's really Antifa, then everybody could be. And the reason you can't find them is because they're just that crafty.
Somebody got to go to jail, man. Come on, man. Somebody has to go to jail. This is ridiculous. The way these people lie, somebody got to go down, man. You can't lie like this, get caught lying like this, and these people just get to walk free every time. They walk free every time. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. But with all that being said, man, that does it for today's stream. Okay, that does it for today's stream. I want to thank you all for joining me today. Please smash the like button on your way out. The members live only stream is going to start immediately after this one. Once I hit end stream now, we're going to begin the members only stream. So if you're a channel member, go to the home page. You're going to see, if you scroll down to the members section, you're going to see the video link there, and also the members live video link is going to be in the community tab also, right? So it's in the community tab and it's also on the home page as well. So I will catch you guys in the channel members only live stream next. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Become a channel member if you want to, head on over to the members only live stream, and I will catch you guys later. Peace and have a great afternoon and a great evening.